Are you looking for a school that nurtures your child's academic, spiritual, and personal growth? Andalusia Academy International School, where your child's future is our priority. We offer comprehensive education levels: kindergarten, Pearson I Primary Certificate, secondary, and Pearson IGCSE certificates.
We are a school that emphasizes in the Deen and Dunya. It's integrated in that on the side of Islamic studies, we have Quran, we have Hadith, we have Arabic. And then, of course, in the secular side, we have all the subjects.
We focus on student-centered learning, where we engage our students in different levels. Other than that, we have very innovative teachers who help to cultivate creative thinking, problem solving, which are very, very key skills in learners, not only in school, but also for their future.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Mohammed and I'm a student under Andalusia International School. I've been here for the past 5 years and I'm in year 11 right now, and my experience in this school so far has been amazing.
Admissions are available. Visit us today. We are located in Nairobi, South Sea, Andalusia Academy International School, where your child's future is our priority.
By the name, I'm called Okomo Frederick, biology teacher. Welcome to Smart Learning at Andalusia Academy in HorizonTV. And today, our topic will be on respiration. So, what we are going to discuss is the respiration in animals. And as we all know that in biology we deal with the living organism. So as we are going to study the respiration in the body, largely in living organisms. So on the board, I will just indicate what is required for us to know when we talk of respiration. First of all, I will write the topic. Our topic of today, as indicated, the respiration. So we will define this term. What do we mean by the word respiration? So respiration is one of the characteristics of living organisms. All living organisms have got almost 8 characteristics. One of them is respiration. So respiration is the process by which the cell breaks down the glucose to give energy. So the way I've said, it takes place within the cell. So the cell, we have to know where or which part exactly in the cell. Which part exactly in the cell. As we had discussed that a cell is the basic unit of living organism, and this is how a cell looks like. Every living organism must have a cell. So this is the animal cell. We also have the plant cell. So the one I'm going to refer to is the animal cell. This is how animal cell look like. The animal cell, it has the nucleus, which you can see, this bigger black part. The animal cell must have the cell membrane around it. And the animal cell will have the mitochondria. Mitochondria, that is now the exactly part or the site where the respiration takes place. So I've said the cell, we have got the nucleus, we have got the cell membrane as indicated, and we have got inside the cell there is organelle known as mitochondria. Mitochondria, we always say that it is the powerhouse. Powerhouse, which means the one which produces energy. The energy is being produced in form of ATP. the energy we produce in the cell is in form of ATP. So I've said the mitochondria is an organelle where the respiration takes place and it produces energy. What do we require for the respiration to occur? So first of all, you will need glucose. Glucose is needed. And for respiration to occur, you must have oxygen. So I will need glucose, which we break down glucose in the presence of oxygen. And we have the product. The major product of respiration is ATP, or the energy. And we also have other products like carbon dioxide. Water is also being released during respiration. Then the major product is energy in form of ATP. ATP is what is known as adenosine triphosphate. So that is the energy being produced in the body. So you have to know the organelle where the respiration takes place. What do we require for that respiration to occur? I've indicated glucose, oxygen. Then the product of respiration will be carbon dioxide, water, and what the cells need is the energy in form of ATP. I will show you how the cell structure still look like for the mitochondria. The oxygen normally get into the cell through a process known as diffusion. So the oxygen will diffuse into the cells, as well as glucose also is being transported to the cells by the blood. Then they diffuse, then metabolic reaction will take place, then they are being converted to form the energy. The second part, we are going to check the types of respiration. The types of respiration. Types of respiration. Types of respiration. We have two types of respiration. The two types of respiration, one of them is aerobic type of respiration. Another one is anaerobic. So the two types we are going to indicate, the two types of respiration, the way I've said, aerobic type of respiration and anaerobic. Anaerobic respiration. These two types, we are going to define them. We are going to state where do they take place largely and what is the major product when the process is occurring. Let me start with aerobic type of respiration. When we talk of aerobic type of respiration, it's a type of respiration that occurs in the presence of oxygen. For this respiration to occur, you will need, the oxygen is a must. And I will repeat the equation for this type of respiration. So I've said the major product I need is glucose and oxygen is required. Oxygen is required for this process to occur. So glucose plus oxygen, you get carbon dioxide, water, and energy. Under that, I will give chemical equation, because chemical equation also you may be asked to indicate. So glucose is H12O6. Oxygen is O2. Then carbon dioxide is CO2. Water is 2H2O. Then energy in form of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. In every chemical equation, you have to balance. So how do we balance this? You check, we have 6 oxygen this side, and we have 6 carbon. You have to make the other side also 6 carbon. We have 12 hydrogen. I have to make this one 12. You add 6. 6 times 2, that is 12. So we have also 12 hydrogen. Oxygen, this side, in total 12 plus 6, 18. So if we have oxygen, I've said 12 plus 6, that is 12 plus 6, 18. You put 18. 18. This side we have got 6. 6 minus 18, remainder 12. So 12, I put 6 here. So in a simple way, balancing for this equation will be, you put 6, 6, 6. You make sure that atoms at the reactant is equivalent to the number of atoms on the product side. So that is a chemical equation when we talk of aerobic type of respiration. Aerobic type of respiration largely occur in the mitochondria. I will just show you. So in the cell, what we have, that an aerobic type of respiration will take place inside the mitochondria. Inside the mitochondria. So I've indicated those two. In the mitochondria, there's a breakdown and we release the product. Where do carbon dioxide go to? Where do carbon dioxide go to? Carbon dioxide also will diffuse from the cell and be transported in the blood to the lungs. Once in the lungs, you breathe it out of the cell. So that one where we talk about when we talk of inhalation and exhalation. During exhalation, you breathe out the carbon dioxide. Where do water that you produce from the body go to? The water also will vaporize or evaporate from the body and come out in form of sweat. The energy that you produce in the body, now you will use it in the body cells. Where do you use energy? You can use energy for movement, energy for reproduction, energy for growth, division of cells. The cells divide using energy. So all these products, you have to know where do we take them, or where do the body eliminate them, and where do they go. On the other hand, I have an aerobic type of respiration. An aerobic respiration. If we talk of anaerobic, this largely I will say is the opposite of aerobic. This is the type of respiration where oxygen is not required. Oxygen is not used during an aerobic respiration, and therefore the energy that is being produced is less or very low, or you can end up with no energy being released because you are not using oxygen. So I've said the oxygen is not required, or oxygen is not used in anaerobic type of respiration. So what will I have? The glucose will still be broken down, but without energy, and I will end up producing what we call lactic acid. you produce lactic acid in the body. And I've said you can produce small amount of energy or no energy at all. So I say small amount of energy. Small amount of energy. So during anaerobic respiration, there's no oxygen and we end up producing the lactic acid. When you produce the lactic acid, this lactic acid is harmful to the body cell. Now you will need to break it down by breathing rapidly. You have to breathe rapidly. I will give example with athlete. For example, individuals who normally go for the short race, they tend to hold their breath. When they hold their breath, at that time, the amount of oxygen they take, which is inside the body, is very low. Now, the body cells will carry out anaerobic respiration because they still need energy to do the race. So at that time, the body carry out anaerobic respiration and lactic acid is being released. At the end of the race, the individual will tend to breathe rapidly and very fast. Why do they breathe rapidly and very fast? Because there's insufficient amount of oxygen in their body cells. Therefore, we have what we call the oxygen debt. So they need an extra amount of oxygen to help them in breaking down a substance called lactic acid for them to get the energy. So the lactic acid has to be eliminated in the body because more lactic acid in the body can cause the muscle cramp. So you will start feeling the tired around your joints. You will start feeling some pain around the joint due to accumulation of lactic acid, which we will have to eliminate from the body cell. I will give just an example of anaerobic and how the athletes. This is the example I've just given. Insufficient compared to aerobic type of respiration. During athletics, they tend to hold the breath, and you can see at that time the body cells still need more oxygen for you to get energy, but you have held the breath. This one will lead to building up of the lactic acid in the body muscles. And if there's excess building up of the lactic acid, what will happen will result to what we call the cramp, and you will feel the pain around the joint. That's why some individuals tend to lie down, they feel a lot of pain around the muscles due to lack of enough oxygen and less energy is formed. At that time, you breathe rapidly and faster to break down the lactic acid which is present in the body. As indicated, when we talk of the oxygen debt, you can see that old man has got breathing difficulties. So when we talk of breathing difficulties, the body cannot get enough or sufficient amount of oxygen. If the body cannot get sufficient amount of oxygen, you will not get enough energy because at that time the cells are undergoing an aerobic respiration, more lactic acid. Therefore, either we can give you direct oxygen when we take you to the ICU, direct oxygen to help the body now undergo aerobic type of respiration. When you say the oxygen debt, I've said the body has insufficient amount of oxygen to break down the lactic acid which is present there, the oxygen debt. The lactic acid in the body, we have seen the effect, the cramp that it causes. Let's now compare the aerobic and anaerobic respiration when we're comparing the male and female. So when we talk of the differences between the male and female, the amount of energy which being consumed by the male and female, so will depend on the gender and the exercise. In anaerobic respiration, the event and anaerobic respiration, 88% and 90%. 12% of energy is being produced in anaerobic. So that's why I said in aerobic, more energy being released. When come to anaerobic, less amount of energy being produced. So there's insufficient amount of energy. That one we are comparing the male and female in the race. So these are the races. Then we'll generally compare the anaerobic and aerobic type of respiration in general, aerobic and anaerobic type of respiration. So the way I'd said that aerobic, you need to produce enough oxygen. So there's enough energy being released at the end. Then in anaerobic, insufficient amount of energy. What is being produced more is lactic acid generally. So when the lactic acid is released, we need to break it down. So I've indicated very efficient amount or energy being produced. There is insufficient amount of energy being produced. 2, it takes place or it occurs in the daily activity. So most of the time you take in oxygen in a normal way. But when it comes to anaerobic, when you hold your breath, when you hold the breath, there will be insufficient amount of energy in the body. Therefore, the cells will tend to go under anaerobic type of respiration. We had given example with the sprinting, the short race. They use a lot of energy, but they tend to hold the breath. So in sprinting, there is an aerobic type of respiration. Then on the other hand, anaerobic produces energy more slowly. There is a production of energy more slowly because you take in oxygen also in a slow rate. You don't need faster breaking down because you are not in any activity. On the other end, anaerobic, there's a building up of the lactic acid. Building up of the lactic acid. The lactic acid is not needed by the body. The body do not need the lactic acid. Therefore, they are building up of the waste product. So you will need to break it down by breathing rapidly. So that is generally respiration in animals. The respiration at the same time, it can occur in plants. So there's a respiration that can take place in the plant cell. And by now you know how the plant cell look like, the structure of the plant cell. The plant cells they also have the mitochondria. They also have the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm and the mitochondria, they are still in the plant cell. So we'll check the respiration in plant cell. Okay. So respiration in plant cell, largely here we will talk of anaerobic respiration, because aerobic respiration will be the same. The way I've said, glucose plus oxygen will give you carbon dioxide plus water plus energy. So I will emphasize on an aerobic type of respiration in plant cell. And as I indicated that anaerobic, we don't need oxygen. Therefore, the carbohydrates or the glucose will be broken down. In this situation, the glucose, you break down the glucose in the absence of oxygen. What do you get? In plants, if you break down the glucose or the carbohydrates, the end product will be carbon dioxide and ethanol. So anaerobic respiration in plants, you break down the glucose, we get ethanol and carbon dioxide. That is an aerobic type of respiration. Largely, this is a good experimental way you can show this is if you have the glucose in a container, you ensure that you close that container, no entry of oxygen. You leave it for a few days, or you can add an enzyme which is called yeast. The anaerobic respiration will occur. And after 3 days, if you check that container, if you don't use enzyme, you have to give it time because that type of respiration occur slowly. After 3 days, you will get this ethanol and carbon dioxide. If you use yeast, it occur very fast. Maybe 12 hours will be enough. So in the body, we make in the plant body, they make the ethanol and glucose. That one also apply in the industrial process of formation of ethanol, which will be checked later. So just want to indicate that. That's what we have, the glucose. And I said that writing the chemical equation is also important. The glucose plus ethanol, carbon dioxide plus energy. The ethanol, glucose, I'd said C6H12, then O6. We get ethanol with that formula, C2H5OH plus CO2. Then you ensure you balance the equation. The number of atoms on the reactant side should be equal to the number of atoms on the product side. So that's what you get when we talk of anaerobic respiration. As indicated, the example that we have just given, it can be carried out in fermentation. Fermentation, I've said, you can put the glucose in a container, you close, ensure no entry of oxygen, then you leave it for some days. Industrial process, they normally do industrial process in making ethanol. In the industry, they make ethanol through fermentation. So commonly used in making the wine and some beers, as indicated there. Then already we have checked the difference. Now you can give the difference between aerobic and anaerobic type of respiration. Then I've said in aerobic type, in respiration, they are largely related to gaseous exchange because you will need oxygen. So next time we'll be talking about the gaseous exchange. You will know how the gases are being exchanged in the body, how you take in oxygen and you release the carbon dioxide. Okay, otherwise, thank you for our lesson today.
Are you looking for a school that nurtures your child's academic, spiritual, and personal growth? Andalusia Academy International School, where your child's future is our priority. We offer comprehensive education levels, kindergarten, Pearson I primary certificates, secondary and Pearson IGCSE certificates.
We are a school that emphasizes in the deen and dunya. It's integrated in that on the side of Islamic studies, we have Quran, we have Hadith, we have Arabic. And then of course in the secular side, we have all the subjects.
We focus on student-centered learning, where we engage our students in different levels. Other than that, we have very innovative teachers who help to cultivate creative thinking, problem solving, which are very, very key skills in our learners, not only in school, but also for their future.
Hello everyone, my name is Aisha Mohammed and I'm a student under Andalusia International School. I've been here for the past 5 years and I'm in year 11 right now, and my experience in this school so far has been amazing.
Admissions are available. Visit us today. We are located in Nairobi, South Sea, Andalusia Academy International School, where your child's future is our priority.